you know how to play Fairy Tale, we're going to tell you what we think of it. As always, we'll be using our patented point-counterpoint review style. We will roll the die to determine who will be taking the pro side and who will be taking the con side. If it is even, I will be arguing for the game, telling you how much I love it. If it is odd, Patrick will be telling you how much he loved the game, and I will be telling you how much I despise it. Alright, that's it. Do the honors. Okay, it is a 6 even, so I'm pro.
And I will be con.
Okay. So to begin with, we mentioned it's a drafting game, and I think that's an obvious op for this game. There are almost none on the market. The only one I can think of besides this is Seven Wonders. I actually haven't played it yet, but I mean to. So it's in a very, very small subset of games, and I really like the mechanic. The drafting just brings a very different dynamic to the table. I love the idea of that kind of interaction. I love building up combos. I love sort of putting together different cards and trying to avoid my opponent's hunters when I'm playing black, or shut down my opponent's big key scorecards with the black cards. It's just a lot of fun to try to sort of outmaneuver them in a very different way than I'm used to. I mean, really, it's such a unique mechanic. I have to put a lot of props for it.
That said, it is something that for new players has enough nuances that it can be difficult to pick up in certain ways. Because more specifically, there's a very common strategy in this game referred to as the hate draft, wherein you are passing cards.
Common, and I would say necessary.
Yeah, you almost have to do it. If you're passing your cards to your neighbor and you need to prevent him from getting his big combos off, so you take the cards that he needs. That's something that new players don't really see. New players may be too wrapped up in their own strategy to see that sort of thing, and that can make the first couple of games that a new player plays really often crushing defeats.
The other thing I like about this game is you can get a few games in very rapidly. It's a great sort of filler game, although I don't think it has any of the sort of negative stigma that comes with that. A lot of people think, okay, filler game, it's going to be okay, almost a throwaway experience, just passing time, killing time until another group breaks up. Say, I just get out of a game of, Shadows of Camelot, and some friends of mine are playing Settlers of Catan. Let's say I want to wait until they're finished to start a new game. Well, let's throw another quick Fairy Tale game. But I don't see that as bad at all. I mean, I think that's a huge upside because you get to play it a lot. I mean, Fairy Tale hits the table very frequently. I would say almost once a week in our sessions because it's just one of the best filler games we own. Really just great for taking a chunk of time. I mean, it says on the box 30 to 60 minutes, and I would say that is pretty accurate. Yeah, I would say we can wrap up games in less than 60 usually.
Yeah, for sure. That said, though, there's one unfortunate negative thing about this game is that a lot of the cards are not quite balanced to each other. It is, there's probably the most notable example of this is these cards that I mentioned in the tutorial, the Children of the Dragon style cards that are worth points equal to the number you have of them. That's just very difficult to pull off. The odds you're going to see enough of these to make them worthwhile is just very slim. There are 7 of them in the deck, it's a 100-card deck. You don't see all 100 cards in the game. These cards are very rarely very good cards.
And the thing is, with children, once you get 3 or 4 and they actually start to become valuable, you just don't get any more. People just dump them. People take them away from you.
Yeah, with the people hate draft the cards away. To contrast, there's a card in the Dragons and the Knights and the Fairies that's worth 8 points if you have 2 or more of the other suit. That's very easy to do. It is almost impossible to keep somebody from getting any, say, Fairies or Knights. So this card is a card that has a very easy condition to fill, and is worth a lot of points if you can fill it. And the cards that fill its condition can also be valuable. It is a very, very good card. And anytime you see this card, you're going to want it.
Another big upside, though, there are a few balance problems, but the game comes at a great price point. I picked it up for only $10, actually on CoolStuffInc.com to plug one of my favorite websites. But Cool Stuff is not paying me for this. But yeah, I mean, I picked it up for $10, and it was a great investment. Like I said, it hits the table frequently. Its production values are pretty good, especially for the price. I think it's very high quality.
The other complaint I would have is that often there is because it is a drawing game and it is a drafting game, there's an element of chance in it that is difficult to avoid. And there are a lot of situations where in your starting card of 5 hands, you have very little that stands out. There have been times where I've drawn a handful of all cards like Children of the Dragon, but in all different suits. There's just nothing I can do about it. And so you're not going to be able to get any good cards out of that. And the person who's passing cards to you has already taken the best card out of their hand. So you're going to be sort of hurt for a whole round.
Yeah, you kind of need the gem. Like there are often gems in the 5, sort of the rare of the pack if you're playing Magic drafting. And you kind of need to, if there are no gems in yours, this is a game where when you get a hand of 5, there's not necessarily a rare.
Well, that's about all I have to say on the negative aspect of the game. You want to give it a more objective review?
Yeah, so, I'd say despite the seeming problems with it, I think we kind of give it maybe an overly negative pro-con. There isn't that much to say about the pros, even though I like the game quite a bit overall. I don't know.
It's difficult to state really how fun it is to draft the game. It's difficult to say, yeah, drafting is real fun and have people believe you.
Yeah,
but it's really fun.
And hate drafting is a big part of it too. I mean, it's really cool to sometimes it's really bad because you get into a situation where people let's say the player to my right is doing very well and they're passing right. Everyone, if we're playing 4 players, the player across from me at the table pulls a good card for this guy, he's not going to hate draft it. He's not going to hate draft. He's going to pass it to me. It sort of becomes often you get a hand where it's your responsibility not to give a powerful card to the next player, not to let him complete his combo. So often you'll have a game which is like, well, all right, I get it, guys. You take that one. But because you get 5 and you only play 3, it rarely actually hurts you to do that, which is nice. You can afford to hate draft. It's sort of built into it.
Yeah, that certainly adds another element of depth to the game. It is a tremendous amount of fun.
So yeah, I would say Fairy Tail, I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. I like it a lot, but it's still a filler game. I mean, at its heart, it's a filler game, but it's really a good filler game.
I would go as high as 8 myself. This is a game that I've played. It can be used. It is certainly very frequently used as a filler game. Although I myself have played this for hours. I could just play game after game after game of Fairy Tail.
It's kind of like chess. You can't just play one game of Fairy Tail.
Yeah, you can't just play one game of Fairy Tail.
And on that note, we'll see you in the next section.